Welcome back to the Celtic Way. Celtic 3, Dundee United 0. Live full-time reaction as Jota gets his homecoming moment. I'm Tony Haggerty, at A Haggerty10 on the X Twitter handle, and I'm joined by Ryan McGinley, at the Ryan McGinley on the X Twitter handle, who's standing outside Celtic Park. Good evening, Ryan. Did you enjoy that, sir?
I think in terms of overall performances, that was right up there with one of Celtic's best of the season. Talk about dominating. That's what Celtic should be doing in home games, but they completely dominated the opposition for large parts of that. Looking forward to seeing all the stats that will come out at the end of that game, because I think it was one of the most enjoyable performances of the season from Celtic. You know, everybody seemed to be in tune. You had Adam with his goal at the end, you had Jota with his homecoming goal, Luke McCowan pulling the strings in the midfield, Cal McGregor getting another goal, scoring his first goal from inside the box this season. You know, it's not a bad habit to be getting into. You know, he can score from all angles, but it was a great solo goal. But yeah, so much to touch upon, Tony. It was just a great day at the office for Celtic and really applying that scoreboard pressure already.
Yes, Celtic moved Sweet 16 ahead of Rangers at the top of the Scottish Premiership table. Ryan was speaking about Callum McGregor's first goal of the season from outside the box. That's one of the topics of in the instant analysis. So there you go. But yeah, it was Callum McGregor that got Celtic off to the flyer after midway through the first half. Ryan, Yang assist. McGregor kind of weaved his way into the box, jinked past a couple of defenders, and nice wee angle drive into the bottom corner. But as you said, pulverisation, I think those stats will show Celtic were rampant and dominant. And probably the only, even a negative, maybe could have had more goals. But listen, 3-0 was fine. That was a more accurate reflection of the scoreline. Jota cuts inside, curls it into the bottom corner, does what Jota does. And then Adam with a bit of venom and a bit of anger, Ryan, lashes a beauty into the top corner. 13 goals for the season for Adam. So that's not too bad in the game time that he's had, Ryan. So all in all, as you said, a cracking day at the office, a very enjoyable watch. And the countdown is on, Ryan, to Celtic wrapping up their 55th title.
Yes, absolutely. It's looking like it's a bit of a foregone conclusion at this point, but Celtic have got to do the job, and they're doing it to the best of their ability. That, as Brendan Rodgers said, this is the time when Celtic come alive. It seems as if they are coming alive right at the right time for the team. You know, going into the business end of the season, I would argue that the business end of the season is the whole season for Celtic, because you can't get into this position without being, absolutely. But they're peaking at the correct time. And it's brilliant to see. You're seeing guys like, you can really understand why Celtic went out and got Luke McCowan on deadline day, why they got Arne Engels when Matt O'Reilly left the club, why they got Adam on a permanent deal, why they got Jota back in January, why they got Jeffrey Schlupp in on deadline day. Because these players are all going to make a difference from now until the end of the season. And that rotation is doing nothing but help Celtic, because it's keeping the team fresh. But these players are coming into the team with a point to prove. They're saying, right, we should be starting the games against Bayern Munich in the Champions League. I think you've seen a response today from those players that didn't start against Bayern Munich to say, why weren't we starting in the biggest game of the season? They went about it in the correct way, particularly, and I will touch upon him, particularly Luke McCowan. I thought he was absolutely immense today from start to finish. He understands what it means, especially to play against Dundee United. He's a player that knows to put the foot in, to win tackles. He's also a tremendous connector of the football from defence to midfield to attack. He's that link. He's the missing link between those two positions. And I just thought he was an absolute joy to watch today, Tony. An absolute joy.
Now, we disagreed wholeheartedly on Wednesday night about Hatate, but one thing we can agree on today is Luke McCowan, and he's another topic of discussion in the instant analysis. And Ryan and myself share the view that, are you watching Stevie Clark, that this man will get a Scotland call-up in the fullness of time, Ryan. He is what you described there. He is a great connector of the ball from middle to front, but he is showing exactly why Celtic signed him. And the bottom line for me, when he signed, I spoke to Dundee assistant Dave Mackay, and he said to me, "This boy's a good footballer. Just watch him in action." And he said it won't be long when Scotland come calling. I trust Dave Mackay's judgment implicitly because I've known and had a relationship with Dave Mackay down the years of covering Scottish football. And his words are going to be very prescient, Ryan, because I think Clark will come calling soon enough.
Yes, and I've been speaking to people on behalf of this big Luke McCowan article that I'm currently in the process of finalising. I've spoke to James McPake, former Dundee manager. Yep. I've also spoke to Ayr United's academy, head of academy, David White, and they both said the same thing. They're almost symmetrical in their summation of Luke McCowan. He is the most self-critical player you'll ever meet. That and the fact that he will play for Scotland one day because of that attitude. It's his attitude and his application that will bring him into that national team. He was a standout in a midfield that's really talented. How many caps does Callum McGregor have for Scotland? 50, 60? That sort of number. You've got Rio Atati, who plays for Japan, a really good Japanese midfield. He's just breaking back into it. And yet, Luke McCowan, a guy that was playing for Dundee at the start of the season, was the standout in midfield. He was sticking out like a sore thumb today against Dundee United, and that's credit to him. He's putting the graft in. He's learning more off of the players that he's playing alongside, the likes of Arne Engels, who was brilliant when he came off the bench, who I thought sprinkled a little bit of stardust on the 60th minute when he came onto the park. But Luke McCowan, I'm running out of superlatives for this player at times. He's such an enjoyable player to watch.
Behave. There's only one man that sprinkles stardust in that arena. You know who it is. It's Portuguese and he scores with ease. He enjoyed that moment today, didn't he, Ryan? He did the double celebration or the treble celebration. He did that, and then he slid on his knees, and then he lay on his back, and he did that, didn't he? So there was a full repertoire of celebrations for another Jota moment. And why not, Ryan? First goal at Celtic Park since re-signing for the club, and it's just a huge love-in with him, really, isn't it?
He can have whatever hairstyle he wants. He can do whatever celebration he wants. He can wear whatever he wants, as long as he's doing that for Celtic every weekend and then during the week in Europe as well. He is, people call him the superstar from Portugal. He is a superstar for Celtic. Yes. He just injects that stardust and that talent into the game every time he was on the ball. And I think he did tire towards or they took him off for 60 minutes. Maybe they were taking him off just to save him from himself. You don't want to give him too much game time and then he burns out just because he's getting used to it. He's getting back into top physical condition. But he was a bit of a teaser today. You had the 60 minutes of Jota when he came off, and you're bringing on the likes of Maeda and Nicholas Kuhn. It's not as if you're downgrading the team. You're just bringing on players that are just as hungry to go and make an impression for Celtic, and they'll be annoyed that they didn't start the game. Even though Daz Maeda's been starting every game for Celtic, he'll have been annoyed that he was on the bench. He's that sort of player. But you knew when Jota got that ball, assisted by Austin Trusty. Trusty's now become a playmaker in this side. He gets an assist for the goal. Jota cuts in, and you knew once he'd cut into that sweet spot, that area, you knew there was only one place that ball was going, in the back of the net. It was a spoiler alert. That this guy's scoring the goal, and there's nothing that Dundee United could do about it. He's just that sort of player. He kind of does what he wants for Celtic. Yeah,
and also there's plenty more of that where it came from. Watch this space; he'll do that countless amount of times.
That's the exciting part, Tony.
Of course. On you go. Sorry.
That's the exciting part about Jota, is that we know that he's not at his physical best yet, and yet he's still contributing in every single domestic game that he's played in thus far. Scored that goal against Motherwell. He scored he got the assist against Raith Rovers, and now he's got the goal, his first goal back at Celtic Park against Dundee United, a team that he knows very well from his first spell at the club. So, he's just such an effective player, but he's got that stardust, as we've spoke about, but he's also not afraid to put the foot in when needed, to put in a tackle, put in an interception when required. He understands. He's played under Ange Postecoglou. The wingers have got to work, even in a Brendan Rodgers side, even though I think there'll be more of an onus to do the front-facing, the sort of forward-thinking, attacking side of the game. He still will be expected to defend on occasion, and he's quite happy to do that. I just think his attitude is absolutely spot on since he's returned. I don't think there's any worries about the superstar from Portugal being just that for Celtic this time around again.
Indeed, he is the superstar from Portugal. He can do no wrong in the eyes of the Celtic supporters. So long may that continue. Now, another instant analysis topic that I brought up, or I've decided to write about, right? Jeffrey Schlupp, I would sign him. And I said it the other day. I said it straight off the bat the other day on the pod.
He
starts for me in Bayern against Bayern Munich in the Allianz. He has to start, but I would sign him because I think he'd be brilliant cover for Kieran Tierney moving forward. Just my thoughts, and that's no slight on Greg Taylor because obviously that situation's still playing out as we speak. But I would have no qualms in offering Jeffrey Schlupp another year deal whilst Kieran Tierney settles back into life at Celtic. That quality that you have, you don't play in the English Premier League and garner all that experience and not show it. And he showed today, and he's rattled that off the post. And it's a real shame because it was very much, I don't know, you probably noticed as well, see the highlights package and the goal they showed? It was a carbon copy of that strike, wasn't it? And I felt it deserved better. It deserved a goal. So just my thoughts. I think lots of Celtic supporters are sharing that view. And, I mean, the Hatate the other night apart, you and I usually are quite on point with this. We're pretty similar in our thoughts about Celtic and things. That was a rare occasion when we disagreed or we had a difference of opinion. But I think we're both on the same page with this one, aren't we?
Yeah, absolutely. I thought he was, first half especially, he was absolutely tremendous.
Yeah.
He understood his role. I actually think he'd be good backup for a midfielder as well because he understands the midfield role and how to play inverted. But he's perfect for Celtic in that regard because that utility player doesn't. I mean, that sometimes gets used as a derogatory term. I think a player that's able to play in more than one position in modern football is so effective, and that'll get him game time because he can be relied upon in different areas.
Yeah, and I'm not using it as derisory. I'm actually saying utility in the fact that he can play a variety of positions, which I think is a boon for Celtic. And if something could be done, I would certainly be looking at doing that, Ryan. Start those talks just now, see how he feels about it himself. But for me, I think it has to start on Tuesday.
Tony, we're saying this after one game, after one start, and we're saying Celtic should go and sign this guy in the summer. That just shows you that he's passed the eye test immediately. I loved what he brought to that side. He also moved into the midfield and allowed Jota to go out wide himself and really isolate the opposition's fullback one-on-one. So much so that early on in the game, Dundee United were like, right, we're going to have to double team Jota to stop him here because he was rinsing the fullback for days. The guy actually, I think he got taken off for an injury late on. It's probably because his hamstrings have been stretched that much from Jota, dancing one way and the other, and then Daizen Maeda coming on in the second half and doing that. That's your worst nightmare as a fullback. You think you've quietened the player down, and then you can take him off and bring in somebody like Daizen Maeda or Nicholas Kuhn. Strength and depth, Tony, it's what we've been crying out for years for Celtic. Now it almost feels as if I say it to the guys that I'm sitting around. I say the cavalry comes on after 60 minutes because those players that are desperate to come off the bench and show, that second wind, or not a second wind, but show that renewed fitness and renewed optimism on the pitch, are ready to go and make a statement. That's just it's so healthy for the squad as a whole to bring those guys off the bench and really make things happen. And I was delighted with the players that came off the bench too.
Do you know what, Ryan? I think it's what will keep the manager here longer than 3 years. See, regardless of what happens on Tuesday, see that progress that you've made at that level, and see if you talk about Stardust, see if you could go in the summer and bring in another sprinkling of Stardust, get a couple of quality additions, add even more strength and depth, and adjust your goalpost to suit. You made the playoff round. Can you go another round further? Obviously you've got a qualifier in the Champions League, but, just set those in-house targets, right? We made the playoff round last season. Can we go? Can we get to the last 16? Can we automatically qualify? That kind of thing. And I'm not saying it's possible, but you give yourself every chance and give this manager every chance. If you say to him in the summer, okay, what do you think we need? Obviously he wants another striker, doesn't he? Fine. And then you look around and you say, would you want to sign Jeffrey Schluppers back up to Tierney? Yes, I would. Get that done as well. These are things that you can do. Get your building blocks in progress already and start that regardless of what happens on Tuesday night. But Tuesday night's a real gauge of, okay, the severest test that you're going to have in Europe, I guess, all season, even Borussia Dortmund apart. And then say, right, regroup and say, okay. And I think it's stuff like that progress that the manager desperately craves at that level that could keep him here beyond the 3 years. If Celtic are willing to go all in on him as much as Celtic can go all in as a club within their financial parameters.
Yeah, I think the building blocks are there in terms of improving the squad year on year. You're starting to see these players break through. I think next season will be the big barometer for the likes of Arne Engels, who, like I've said before, I thought was absolutely brilliant when he came on. For the last half hour, I thought I know we were talking about star quality from Jota. I felt like Celtic got that from their £11 million man when he came off the bench. Not just with some of the passes that he was making, it was almost like muscle memory, that pass that he was playing to Daizen Maeda every single time. He was trying to hit it as soon as possible, get that ball out to Maeda and let him run with the ball at his feet. But he was also getting stuck in. I believe it was Alan Campbell that was sort of noising him up. The two of them were at a bit of a midfield battle. And I think Arne Engels enjoys that because he didn't rise up to any of the little, not lashes out, but little kicks that Alan Campbell was trying to give Engels. He was actually enjoying it. He was like, with respect, I know I'm a better player than you, and I'm going to show it in this game. I just love his attitude, Tony. I think there's no confidence issues anymore with Engels. Sometimes I thought that he maybe played within himself in games. He's now really shown why Celtic have spent all that cash for him. He's got star quality written all over him. I think he'll be an absolutely tremendous player for Celtic in the coming years. You've got to build a team around him.
This is now a man who's comfortable in his own skin and who's comfortable in the Celtic jersey. And I enjoyed Rodgers talking about him yesterday, saying, no holidays when you come here.
It's not the first time he said that.
One game a week mentality. That doesn't happen here. You get no time off. And players love that. And they love the intensity of it, Ryan. They love that challenge that you have to win every game. We're drawing is seen as a disaster. Losing is just not in the equation, and it's not in your makeup. And guys like Engels, it was a slow burner with him because he came from Augsburg, and maybe he could get away with a win, a draw, and a loss in 3 successive games. And the manager said to him, it's not good enough here. You'll learn. The penny will drop. Penny's dropped. The boy's got quality. We knew he had quality, which is why the manager shelled out all that money. But it just takes a wee bit of time to settle into this football club and the demands and the rigours and the tests that you every day, not just winning football matches, you're training, conducting yourself off the park as well. All of this kind of stuff. And this now looks like a player who's comfortable in his role now, Ryan, and he's looked around and he's went, you know what? This is the right place for me to take my career to the next level and, advance it playing in the Champions League. Because not a lot was spoken about Ryan C's wee back healer assist to Hatate for this equaliser at Aston Villa. It was kind of lost in the vlog, but that's a switched on brain. That's a football brain at work. And I think you're beginning to see that slowly but surely with Arne Engels. And Celtic are going to get the benefit of that because he's hitting his peak years, isn't he?
He's going to use Celtic as a showcase to showcase his abilities. He's going to use it as that sort of spotlight to showcase his best football. And I'm quite fine with that because young players should do that. If they've got big ambitions of playing in a top 5 league, playing for a Premier League club, then they've got to use Celtic in that way. But both sides can help each other, and that Celtic are going to give them the platform in the Champions League and domestically to dominate games. I just seen a guy coming on today that looks comfortable in his own skin and looks comfortable with the role that he's been given in the side, helped by the fact that Callum McGregor and Luke McCowan played for the duration. It's not as if you changed the whole midfield and then there would have been a little bit of I don't know, about a little bit of disjointedness in by only changing one player there, Hatate for Engels, you've still got that makeup of the midfield, and he could just seamlessly slot in and really show his stuff. He's one of the first names on the team sheet on Tuesday, and with good reason. He's a bit of a luxury at the moment in which Celtic can take him in and out of games, but for the most important games, which Bayern Munich away from home is, he'll be in that team, and I think we'll see him. If Celtic maybe aren't to get through to the next round, then you'll see him a lot more in some of these domestic games starting. Definitely when you're looking at the showpiece games at the end of the season, if Celtic are to get to Hampden, they are the big games for him. The games against Rangers, he's a big game player, and I'm really enjoying this steady progress I'm seeing from him, because I think there's so much more to come. I think we've only seen the tip of the iceberg when it comes to Arne Engels, and that's quite exciting for me.
500 people joining us live tonight, Ryan, after Celtic have dismissed Dundee United 3-0 in a very much a one-sided affair. Celtic move 16 points clear at the top of the Scottish Premiership table. Rangers in action tomorrow at Tynecastle. Ryan's already declared his hand in that in the pre-match show by saying Rangers will drop points tomorrow. So there you go. It's we shall see what happens there.
Yeah, absolutely. But there's no pressure on Celtic. All the pressure's on Rangers, as much as I think the league is very much over. Look at the gap between the two sides, not just in terms of the points gap, but in terms of the way that the teams are playing at the moment. You can see a discernible style with Celtic at the moment. You see the style that they're trying to execute, play through the wingers, play through the midfield, try and get the ball to the striker as early as possible. Although that sometimes doesn't happen as much, even I'm delighted that Adamida got his goal today. I don't really see that style on the other end of the city, and that would be quite concerning if I was on the other end of the city, than not knowing what team is going to come out to play tomorrow. A very inconsistent side with good players dotted in and around the team, but it's a big game tomorrow. Hearts will be up for it, and I just would not be surprised if Rangers drop points tomorrow. I'm just being honest. Just the way that they're playing, the way that Hearts have managed to reinvigorate their season a little bit under Critchley, it'll be an interesting one to watch.
Yeah.
I'll definitely be tuning in to watch it tomorrow afternoon.
What will be on that, Ryan. Celtic control the controllables, as we said at the top of the programme in the pre-match show, and with the minimum of fuss. And that's what I'm enjoying about this Celtic team domestically, Ryan. They are going through games with the minimum of fuss now. The manager always said it, and you quoted it yourself earlier. This is the time when Celtic come alive. They have come alive big style, and everybody is playing their part. Every player, who you would deem as fringe players as well. Johnny Kenny got some minutes today as well, Ryan. So hopefully maybe see him more towards the end of the season too, if Celtic wrap it up quicker than they think.
Can I give a wee quick shout out in terms of a specific player who I thought was really good today, and he might go under the radar. I thought Tony Ralston was really, really solid today, and everything that he did, tried to get the ball forward as quickly as possible, but he was so strong in the tackle. I think he likes playing against his former team. He enjoyed a good loan spell out at Dundee United early on in his career. It gives him a wee bit of a fire in his belly to go and show that he's that player. He's good enough to play for Celtic. He's still getting his game for Scotland, of course, but he's a very reliable player to bring in. Johnson can sit with his feet up, knowing that he's got a big game against Bayern Munich on Tuesday, and also with the fact that his replacement or his backup in the side can perform admirably at this level. I thought he was really, really good today. Wasn't as dynamic down the right-hand side as Jota and Sloop, but Yang still got an assist, so there was some effectiveness that came down that way.
What you notice about Tony Ralston is that whenever he's in the team, Ryan, there's no dissent anymore. No real voices of criticism. They accept that
Credit
he is
to him for that.
A solid backup, correct, and that nobody bats an eyelid whenever he slots in. And most of the time, he fulfills that role that Alistair Johnston does with aplomb. And as you see, he's still an international fullback, still Scotland's international fullback. So I think that is immense credit to him, that you come in and you don't notice that Alistair Johnston's really away, because he's solid, he's reliable, he's dependable. He's a steady 7 player, isn't he, Ryan?
He is. I think I gave him 7 out of 10 today, 7 or 8 out of 10. There was a lot of 8s today. I thought there was a lot of 8 out of 10 performances. My player ratings are available on the website if you want to check them out in celticway.co.uk. There was a lot of 8 out of 10s today. Not any like truly outstanding performances, because I think it was a team performance and they all helped each other. But if you get a lot of 8 out of 10s, then naturally Celtic will score goals as a result of that. So you get good players playing well and playing near their optimum level, then it's going to be trouble for the opposition, and that was the case today with Dundee United. Dundee United didn't lay a glove or a finger on Celtic today, and they gave them problems last time out, or last time away from home, before Christmas. I know it was nothing each, but they still allowed Celtic to drop points on that day. Now it was a bit of a, I don't want to be too derogatory towards the opponents, but it was a bit of a cakewalk for Celtic today. But that's credit to them for making it as simple as possible.
As if by magic, your players' ratings appeared in the comment section, Ryan. So have a look at them, guys.
Thank you very much, Ken, sir.
Rated all the players. You can have a read at them at your leisure. But no, I think as we've spoken about and throughout this pod, it's just an enjoyable experience watching Celtic at this minute in time. And as we saw last week with the Scottish Cup result at Ibrox, there is no real impediment towards Celtic, reeling off another treble, but they still have to go and do it, Ryan. And that's what I'm enjoying about this Celtic team. I think they're much. They're much in tune with that, and they know the job at hand, and it's not done, and they're not taking their foot off the gas. Today was pretty relentless, wasn't it?
As the legendary Kobe Bryant once said, from the LA Lakers, job's not finished. It's not done yet.
Yeah.
Got to finish it. Got to get to that finish line before you can start celebrating. No matter how close they are to where they want to be, they're 3 games off of a treble, you could say, in terms of quarter-final, semi-final and final. The job's not finished. Let's get to the finish line and do it with a bit of style as well. I think they will. I don't think you'll see this team dropping off from now until the end of the season, because I think they're hungry. They're almost a bit ravenous when it comes to wanting more trophies, and that I think that's brought from the manager, but it's also brought from the captain as well. That attitude is just permeating through the side. It's clear to see. It's just, it's a really good time at the moment.
I thought it was very stylish today, Ryan. Despite the changes in the rotation, I thought Celtic went about their job with a bit of gusto, clinically and very professionally, personified by the captain getting the opening goal.
Yep, absolutely. I agree with that. As the rain starts falling down, I can feel it sort of spitting in the air. So it was almost raining goals for Celtic. Probably should have been raining goals for Celtic today, but 3-0. We both predicted 4 and 5-0 respectively. I thought you would maybe go one lower than me this afternoon, and you would have got the correct scoreline. But
I went one down.
And most importantly, a clean sheet as well, because there was a couple of chances near the end that I thought maybe Dundee United were going to get a consolation goal, but no, they stuck to their guns. They kept on defending, and they got their clean sheet. And Kasper Schmeichel was essentially a spectator once again for Celtic, so there's no problems with that.
I thought you were going all Phil Collins on me there, Ryan. I can feel it spitting in the air tonight. I thought you were just going to launch into that there, just as you were saying. Is it still raining? Is it going to come down heavily, do you think?
It's getting cloudier just now. It's getting a bit darker as well. I think we're better off wrapping up the show.
Yeah, I'll wrap up right now. I think
we've touched upon everything, to be honest.
That was my cue to say that's fine. I'll let you go then if it's going to start chucking it down. So I wouldn't want to keep you in a downpour. But no, listen, thank you for that. Stellar contribution as always. Celtic 3, Dundee United 0. Celtic moves 16 points clear at the top of the table. Goals from captain Cal Mack. He's first from inside the penalty area this season of 8 goals that he scored. Jota's first at Celtic Park since his wonderful return. And Adam Ida's lucky 13th goal, Ryan. Pick of the bunch for me. Have a good weekend, guys. Take it easy. Ryan, we'll see you again soon on the podcast, probably Monday or whatever, but have a good night and have a good weekend.
Cheers, guys. Enjoy your weekend.